We live in a world drowning in information. It's overwhelming. Every time you glance at your phone, there's another news alert, another tweet, another screaming headline. We're constantly bombarded with messages, stories, and opinions. But here's the catch. Who's deciding what we see, and more importantly, what we don't? The truth is, a small number of powerful companies control a shocking amount of what we consume. These media giants hold the reins of information, shaping our understanding of everything from politics to pop culture. They decide which stories get told and how they're told, often with their own agendas woven into the narrative. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a major news story that directly criticized the corporation that owns that news outlet? It's rare, right? That's because the media landscape is a business. And critical reporting about your own business partners isn't exactly a recipe for financial success. Let's talk about who these puppet masters actually are. It's not some shadowy cabal wearing hooded robes, though that would make for a much more exciting expose. No, these are publicly traded companies with names you know, Disney, Comcast, News Corp, to name a few. These conglomerates own a mind-boggling array of media outlets, from newspapers and magazines to television networks and movie studios. They've gobbled up smaller companies like a game of Pac-Man on a sugar rush, consolidating their power and influence with each acquisition. This concentration of ownership means that a handful of executives have an outsized influence on the information ecosystem. They can stifle dissenting voices, promote favored narratives, and generally control the flow of information to an unsettling degree. Now let's talk about the cozy relationship between media giants and corporations. It's like a love story straight out of a Wall Street rom-com. Except instead of a happy ending, we get rampant consumerism and a warped sense of reality. Media companies rely heavily on advertising revenue from corporations. These corporations aren't just buying ad space, they're buying influence. They can exert pressure on media outlets to avoid negative coverage of their industries or products. Think about it. How often do you see hard-hitting investigative journalism about the very companies that are footing the bill for the news you're consuming? It's a classic case of biting the hand that feeds you, something media companies are understandably reluctant to do. With the rise of the internet, we were promised a utopia of information sharing and democratic discourse. Instead, we got cat videos, online arguments with strangers, and a whole lot of misinformation. The internet has become a breeding ground for disinformation, propaganda, and outright lies, all masquerading as legitimate news. The speed at which information spreads online is both a blessing and a curse. A juicy rumor can circle the globe before the truth has even put its pants on. This creates a fertile environment for those who seek to manipulate public opinion, whether it's foreign governments trying to sow discord or corporations trying to protect their bottom line. Section 5. The price of truth-telling. So where does this leave journalists, the brave souls who are supposed to be holding the powerful accountable? Well, it's complicated. Journalists are often caught between a rock and a hard place. The pressure to conform to the narrative set by their corporate overlords, and the ethical imperative to report the truth without fear or favor. Speaking truth to power has always been a risky business, but it's become even more so in the digital age. Journalists who dare to challenge the status quo, who dig too deep into uncomfortable truths, often find themselves facing backlash, censorship, or even job loss. It's a sad state of affairs when those who are supposed to be the watchdogs of democracy are being muzzled by the very forces they're trying to hold accountable. Section 6. Social media's iron fist. Let's talk about social media for a second. These platforms promise to democratize information, to give everyone a voice. And to be fair, they have done that to some extent. But let's not kid ourselves. These platforms are also incredibly adept at controlling what we see and how we see it. Algorithms curate our feeds, showing us content they think we'll engage with, often based on our past behavior. This creates echo chambers where we're constantly exposed to the same viewpoints, reinforcing our existing biases. And let's not forget about outright censorship. Social media companies have become increasingly willing to silence voices they deem unacceptable, often with little transparency or accountability. Section 7, the fake news epidemic. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Fake news, it's everywhere, spreading like wildfire through the digital landscape. Fake news isn't just annoying, it's dangerous. It erodes trust in legitimate news sources, making it difficult to separate fact from fiction. The internet has made it incredibly easy for anyone with an internet connection and a bone to pick to create and spread fake news. And because algorithms prioritize engagement over accuracy, these fabricated stories often go viral, reaching millions before they can be debunked. It's a recipe for chaos and confusion, and it's undermining our ability to have informed public discourse. Section 8. Governments and corporations, masters of manipulation. Let's be clear, governments and corporations are not innocent bystanders in this digital dumpster fire. They've become incredibly adept at exploiting the same tools and tactics as purveyors of fake news to spread propaganda and manipulate public opinion. They create armies of bots and trolls to flood social media with their messaging, drowning out dissenting voices and creating the illusions of grassroots support. They use targeted advertising to micro-target individuals with tailored messages designed to exploit their fears and prejudices. It's sophisticated, it's insidious, and it's happening on a massive scale. We're all caught in a web of digital manipulation, and it's time we started paying attention.